Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 2020. This is the MyTeam Principal, and it's episode number 3. We have Azerbaijan up next. We've got 9 days of time to work on some things, so let's go ahead and fill our calendar in. For chassis department, that's a 3-day filler, but it comes with some negatives. The funded team event is fantastic because it's all department morale increases, but it comes at a cost. Sponsor event, certainly a good one, as the more we increase the team profile, we're going to earn additional money, so let's go ahead and throw that one in there for sure. We've got a 4-day one. It does come with a department negative. However, cash and a huge team increase, so we've got 3 days remaining. We could counter the department morale that we just hurt. Might be our way to go. Yeah, those two aren't happening, as we're going to release our second driver before long. And this one comes with a bit of a negative, so we don't come away necessarily with cash from this period, but we do come away with a little bit department morale. We come away with some team acclaim, some significant team acclaim, so that's a good little chunk. 3.5 million, not quite enough yet for our next marketing upgrade, so we'll hang on for now. But we do have 1,200 R&D points. Definitely something significant and usable. Nothing is getting upgraded currently. But let's maybe look at a major aero upgrade. We've got some front downforce. That would be a good thing. Drag reduction, straight line speed. Same with the rear downforce. Which one? The rear downforce looks to have the similar impact to the front downforce. Both of those are major. The streamlined suspension arms definitely has a smaller impact, even though it's considered a major. Use just about everything we have. It's going to take a couple race weekends, but that's okay. It's a major upgrade. You can see just how much that moves us up. I like it. That's the only one in progress right now, and that progress history, we've definitely moved up. We've pulled away from Williams a bit, and Haas from where we initially started. And we're just about keeping pace with the midfield, and that's good. You know, it's going to help us grab some results. It's going to help us develop more quickly. How is the car looking at this point? Overall wear is just 25%. We do have 50 there now, but that's okay. Gearbox, just one race going. We have our 2 sponsors, and we are now 42 days away from the expiration of this contract. We are going to need cash. We're going to need some cash when it comes time to swapping drivers out. But it looks like I think we're only going to need about 1 million. Despite not starting on pole, Ferrari grab a 1-2 with the victory for Leclerc. Bottas slipped to 3rd and 4th after a 1-3 start. So you had 2 Mercedes next to 2 Ferraris on the front 2 rows of the grid. Verstappen comes in 5th place, just a few seconds off the lead, and then the gaps start to open from there. Perez, Albon from 16th up to 7th. He probably had grid penalties or struggled through Q1 anyway. Ricciardo 8th, Stroll 9th, and we do grab 10th place with Juju Noda. So another good result there. She grabs 1 point this time, and our teammate still struggling at the back, just beating the Williams. Our car so strong that it's good enough to beat the Williams, but it's such a weak driver that we can't even beat Haas, who our car is significantly better than. And then that whole group outside of McLaren, sandwiched between Haas and Stroll above us, that whole group so similar that it looks like our AI is just that little bit better than those drivers. Surprises me a little bit as Raikkonen struggled in this race from 9th down to 15th. Might have had a problem, broken wing possibly, because usually Raikkonen would be a bit higher up with their AI rated a bit higher than the other cars through this area of the pack. We're catching quickly up to Boschung and Team Acclaim. Like I said, Boschung I'm not investing in. They're not going to be around much longer, so no surprise in that. We pick up both bonuses on this one, getting an extra $300,000. And that brings us up over 5, so we will be able to make our next investment. For me, marketing is the obvious choice. This and the next upgrade, at least until it starts getting really expensive. Sponsor relations sounds good. Increase Acclaim improvement speed to 10% faster. Certainly will have a good impact, but we are up to level 6 already. Yes, we want to keep going, but it's not as important right now as it once was. Activities management, though, significantly increased positive effects from team activities. That's a big one because a lot happens from those team activities that we focus, including improving Acclaim faster. So this one impacts lots of stuff, while one impacts only one thing directly. So we will spend the $5 million here, as they both have the same cost. I just learned something new, and that's one of the key reasons to get involved in a series like this, pushing the pace, learning more about the mechanics of the game, and here we are with a massive discovery. I can't make another engine improvement because it's locked behind facility spec required level 1, which we're at level 0 right now. So our engine facilities need to be upgraded before we can do additional upgrades outside of this area. But this area has to do with your engine supplier. So future season, we get this in September, we get this in August. So that's our next upgrade, and that's a minor engine power upgrade. But you can see from right here where it's showing on the menu, it's going to put us right on the heels of Haas and Ferrari. Look at Alfa Romeo right on the heels of Mercedes as best engine. Looks like we also have the same problem with chassis department. We do not have the same problem with durability, and it certainly wouldn't be a bad thing to get some engine durability for the long term of this team. Though right now my current teammate really not impacting any of that. So I'm going to stick to going with Aero. Both of these are major upgrades, so I cannot access either of them currently, but we're not far off on the points. We need 1150 either way. So round 9 brings us to Montreal, and for the first time this season, well, it's not showing it right now, this is a race supposedly that's going to be in the rain. Let's see if that impacts our AI and whether we move up, stay the same, or are a little further back this time. So Hamilton claims the win in the rain. Bottas from pole down to 5th. I think driver ratings a little more impactful this time compared to other races. So Verstappen all the way up to 2nd, Vettel, Leclerc 3rd and 4th, Bottas, Albon, Stroll, Norris, Perez, and Sainz into the points. We just miss out on the points. 11th place finish, still a good result. But Bosch all the way down in 21st. Very eager for their replacement. Standings. Bottas still has the lead, but Hamilton now just 5 points behind. Very much back in this thing. Verstappen, Vettel, Leclerc, and Albon Albon not that far behind Leclerc, but it's still a bit of a gap. Sainz in 7th. We are just 2 points behind, and Ricciardo another 2. Perez another 2 from there. Very, very close battle. Even Stroll and Norris not far off the pace. Ocon just 8 points, though, a little bit adrift compared to the rest of the midfield. And then still, no one outside of those 13 drivers has scored a point this season. Very surprising. A little too much consistency by the teams in race results right now. You get a little variance, a few positions apart, but otherwise it's been the same, race after race after race. We are the lowest of the point scoring teams without Boschung supporting me, no points of their own, but I'm still really happy with a 7th place. That's much higher and already at 23 points more than I expected this first season. Another 9 days to fill. And this time, I think I've actually got a pretty clear choice. So chassis department comes with a negative. Simulator training, of course, will help Boschung, but they're going to be replaced. Aero, nothing but positive. Chassis team building, other than the 5K cash we have to spend, is a definite positive. That uses 5 days, leaving us 4 left for one of those others to fill the void. And then which one will it be? We have strong team acclaim and a lot of cash. Or Boschung. Or is that for... See, I still don't know if that's for me. If that's my driver. It could be my driver. Very well could be my driver. I've never tested that. I'm not worried about that part, though, because we earn a lot of that naturally on the track. Again, with Aero being the only department that I have the opportunity to upgrade in right now, we're going to take full advantage of that and really try to strengthen our Aero department here in the short term. So we have another major upgrade. This time it's tertiary wing flaps, so front downforce increased. And we're going to get that underway. Energy store at 55%. It's definitely worth thinking about replacing. But honestly, I think we can probably get away with one more race weekend and then changing that out. Gearbox is really good. Just halfway through the period and at just 21%. Down to just 3 weeks before we can finally replace Boschung. It looks like we're going to pass them up in acclaim prior to the expiration of their current contract. Racing Point has pulled clear of the midfield over the last couple of races, and that's been very evident in the standings at the end of the races. We see Alfa Romeo also climbing up the ladder a bit, and we've been flatlined for a little while. We've only had one upgrade for the last 4 races, but we come in with a major drag reduction. So we'll see if that boosts us up. How many other teams are showing up this weekend with an upgrade themselves? But if they don't, I could see us pulling clear. Maybe Boschung even will move up a couple more spots. The AlphaTauri is next lowest to Williams. Maybe they'll at least finish ahead of them finally. Let's see if it happens. This round of the championship brought us to Paul Ricard for the French Grand Prix. Hamilton wins from front row, takes over the championship lead. He also got fastest lap, so with that bonus, he moves ahead of his teammate Valtteri Bottas. Leclerc ahead of Vettel, finishing 3rd and 4th. Verstappen and Albon 5th and 7th, but Stroll squeezes in between them, just a 10th of a second ahead of Albon at the finish. I come through the field all the way up to 8th place. Is that my career best finish now, or have I matched that? I think I might have matched it. I think I've had 8th before. Perez and Sainz round out the points-paying positions, and Boschung clear of both Williams, but still out of touch from anyone else. Just a few days till the Austrian Grand Prix, so we can only squeeze in 2 days. We have some back-to-back weekends. Team Acclaim, pick up 300 there. Or durability. I gotta spend money on that. If I'm gonna spend money, I'll take the Acclaim. We're up to 3 million, but we're also on the verge of that contract period, so I'm going to wait to do that before we start spending any money anywhere else. And again, with marketing, I still probably want to spend that next 5 million on the sponsor relations and take that upgrade before we really get into the car. The car is going to stall out a little bit, but that's okay. We'll build up some R&D points, and again, we can still at least do aero short term. We're actually not even far off from the next aero upgrade now, and where our aero was quite weak, it's caught up. It's not too far off from the powertrain now, or the durability. The chassis very much still lagging behind though. $60% on the energy store. We'll go ahead and fit the new one for the new race weekend. Everything else is okay. Gearbox holding out just fine after 4 races. 10 Team Acclaim to get that next one, and we're at 7 now. So it won't take us too long to get a 3rd secondary sponsor. And just a week to go. So this is it. We're at that point, finally, after this next race. This will be it for Ralph Boschung. Ready to move forward. Excited. So after our second rain-filled race of the season and of the episode here in Austria, we reached the halfway point of the season. 11 rounds behind us. Bottas reclaims the Drivers' Championship lead away from Lewis Hamilton, who only finished 5th today. Bottas with the win. Verstappen up to 2. Leclerc 3. Albon, who started from 4th, slips to 7th place. We do get into the points this time. Time-wise, you can see right in the mix. I mean, we were only 0.3 of a second slower than Hamilton for best lap. 10th place. But Boschung, their final race, just 21st position. Still can't get the job done. You got to say good job by Russell, considering how low this game has the Williams car compared to everyone else. And honestly, I thought the Williams was going to be more competitive. They certainly looked the part in that first race before Russell's retirement. But in the second Austrian Grand Prix, the Styrian Grand Prix, Williams was back off the pace. However, not entirely, right? Russell qualified 12th. It was fantastic. Of course, it was in the wet. Had a good start to the race, but then 4 or 5 laps in, comes close to colliding with Kevin Magnussen, avoids that collision, goes off into the gravel, comes back out in last place. And then can't do any more than just catching his teammate slowly over the course of the race, getting caught behind him for a long period of time before Russell finally got around Latifi late in the race and then drove away from him, but never quite got up to that next slowest car on the grid, the Haas. So in the standings, Bottas back on top, 13 points clear. Big difference there. Verstappen, not out of it completely, but definitely a bit too far back to really be considered a threat. Exactly 50 points behind Bottas at this point. Vettel 7 points ahead of Leclerc. Those two definitely battling it out. Albon out of contact, but you still got to say so much better than what Gasly was doing behind the wheel of the Red Bull. Sainz jumps me for 7th place. We're back down to 8th after scoring just 1 point today. And at exactly 3 points behind are both Racing Point cars. The Renault seems to be a bit off the pace these days. They were both out of the points in this race. We've distanced ourselves a bit from them, but it's still just 13 drivers having scored points this season, so that still has not changed. Boschung 21st in the standings, as Russell has had a better finish than Boschung ever has or ever will, because he is done with this team. I so very, very nearly overtake Bashang in the acclaim. I started at nothing, 0 acclaim whatsoever. Bashang had a level 4 already, still level 4, and we've gotten all the way from no acclaim up to level 4 ourselves, and nearly overtook Bashang. 4 million cash should definitely be enough to do what I need to do here in between this race and the next. Alright, so the 55 overall, Ralph Bashang, we're going to leave them behind. Their pace just at 59. And we are not going up. We are going to go backwards. So, this is what I've had planned all along. If it was available from the beginning, I would have taken it. But I want the ultimate challenge, or at least thereabouts. The ultimate challenge, Raghunathan. Raghunathan is the worst driver that I have seen in an F2 car. I haven't seen that many seasons. I've only seen a few seasons worth, parts of 4 seasons now that I've seen F2 racing, as it was never shown in the US before, 4 years ago. But Raghunathan is ridiculously slow. That would be the ultimate challenge, but that's not quite where I decided to take it. What we're going to do is we're going to take the ultimate female challenge. We've already got Juju Noda behind the wheel, and Tatiana Calderon debuted in F2 a year ago. Was always off the pace, not like Raghunathan. She had a little bit of pace to her, and I think that 61 is spot on. Good awareness. She avoided contact in the races that I watched outside of once, and it was not her fault. And then I did see one that was her fault. Her major weakness, her downfall, and I think this doesn't even quite express how big of a weakness it is for it, is the race grab. Terrible at overtaking. She'll follow a car for laps and laps and laps and laps, and then that car will pit, and then she drives away. And by the time she pits a handful of laps later, she's pretty good on tires. When she pits 4 laps later, she's 4 or 5 seconds, 6 seconds in front of that car. But that's the only way she was ever gaining positions. So Tatiana Calderon only lasted a season this year. The F2 season that just got underway, she's been dropped. She's not there. This is last year's lineup of drivers. So Tatiana Calderon, probably not the future, especially she's in her late 20s already in real life. So Jamie Chadwick, Marta Garcia, even Beitska Visser, who's about the same age as Calderon, all have a much better shot, I think, of making F1 than Calderon does. But as the only other female driver that is in the game, we'll go ahead and go for the all-female lineup, and we're going to keep Calderon throughout this series. That's right, I have every intention of actually developing a rider, essentially, just about anyway, the worst driver out here. I'm surprised Galil and Mazepin are actually below Calderon, to be honest with you, and even Delatraz. I'm surprised that those 3 are as low in the ratings. Bashang, not surprised. Bashang's actually worse than Calderon, so we actually are making a tiny improvement there. But having watched a lot of F2 races, Sean Galil's especially pretty decent driver. I was really surprised by how low their rating is. But yeah, we're going to see if we can develop a second driver now, essentially from scratch, and see if we as a team can grow and not just hire the best driver available, but as there is a mechanic to develop that second race driver, that's what I want to test out. So we're going to do it. experience is a little bit lower, but you can already see her racecraft, her awareness, and her pace are all higher than Ralph Boschung, and that's going to nearly have a wash when it comes to the acclaim. And the only reason why Boschung has any acclaim at all is from getting some Formula One experience, albeit from the back. Interesting. So the second driver mechanic, it's not just approach and sign, bam, simple. There's actually bidding wars and a fight. Nobody else is interested in Calderon, so we move to the later stages of trying to negotiate. Looks like I could offer a little bit over $1 million and pretty much sign her instantly. If I offer less than $1 million, there's a definite risk that she will turn the offer down. But at $1 million, which is her value, there's some risk. I'm going to go ahead and try for that. That is her demand. So, I think we're good on that. And there it is. She is signed till the end of the year. Yes, next 11 race weekends through the end of November. Excited for that. So we are all set now, and we're going to start developing, finally, a second driver. And not just Team Acclaim anymore, but we're going to start building within the team. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.